I can't imagine the anger and frustration and betrayal they must feel trying to deal with this and being lied to repeatedly. It's so infuriating to me. It is so infuriating. So a whistleblower group has obtained documents suggesting the Environmental Protection Agency collaborated with Norfolk Southern to manipulate soil testing data following the February 2023 East Palestine train derailment, according to a new report. So I wanted to give an update on East Palestine, Ohio. I am from Ohio. I'm about 180 miles west of East Palestine. And this is, obviously it pissed me off. I think it pissed all of us off watching a literal mushroom cloud over a small Ohio town on a snowy February day was a lot to take in. Not surprising. We're used to seeing stuff. Maui and how many oil spills and all of this, we've seen it, right? We've seen it. But watching East Palestine, a mushroom cloud over a small Ohio town was certainly jarring. And so there's been a lot that's gone on. It's not getting any coverage. That's what I think pisses me off the most about this, is that these are those kinds of stories that they happen. People talk about them for a week or two, and then nobody talks about them anymore. Nobody's following up. And I'm just as guilty as that as everybody else. There's always so much else going on. It's impossible to revisit these stories and try to keep track of everything. But East Palestine has still been dealing with a ton of stuff. So health-wise, some of the stuff that they're dealing with, things like headaches, rashes, respiratory issues, skin conditions, brain fog, all kinds of stuff. They're still dealing with a tremendous amount of health-related issues. They've been dealing with so many things over the years of trying to figure out who's actually financially responsible. Ends up it's Norfolk Southern. They tried to pass the buck onto the people that built the train cars and whatever. But all of that's now been litigated. But there has been a recent development that I definitely want to talk about as a big fan of whistleblowing and whistleblowers. I wanted to bring this to your attention. Not that anybody's going to be surprised by the outcome of this, but hey, the EPA and Norfolk Southern manipulated East Palestine soil testing data. This shit pisses me off. I'm sorry. It makes me very angry. People in Ohio, and this is not a wealthy community at all. It's, it's just like a small, tiny Ohio town. If you've been to Ohio, you've seen them. And all of the surrounding areas. I can't imagine the anger and frustration and betrayal they must feel trying to deal with this and being lied to repeatedly. It's so infuriating to me. It is so infuriating. So a whistleblower group has obtained documents suggesting the Environmental Protection Agency collaborated with Norfolk Southern to manipulate soil testing data following the February 2023 East Palestine train derailment, according to a new report. The Government Accountability Project recently acquired a March 7th, 2023 email from the EPA to Norfolk Southern that allegedly shows the agency relied on the railroad company's testing methods and told them not to test for 5 toxic compounds, says Leslie Pacey, a representative of the whistleblower group. The most significant allegation centers on the EPA's selection of baseline soil samples from locations heavily impacted by the toxic plume of smoke from the open burn of vinyl chloride tankers. Baseline samples serve as benchmarks for comparison to track contamination levels. And for those of you that don't remember, the way that this went down is that there was a train coming through the town. There was an issue with the train. There was worry that, and this is saying it out loud is ridiculous, but they were worried it was going to blow up, so they blew it up, which is, okay, the logic is not logicking, but yes. And so a whole load, vinyl chloride being one of the most significant, a bunch of chemicals, land, air, water, all of the things. And they cannot get straight answers about any of it. So this continues, quote, "This is black and white receipts that the EPA was working with Norfolk Southern to create the outcome that Norfolk Southern wanted," Pacey told News Nation. News Nation's actually done a pretty good job of covering this to some extent. Not a lot of outlets do. Scott Smith, an independent testing expert and whistleblower, said the arrangement allowed Norfolk Southern to, quote, "clearly handpick testing data to say you were already contaminated. We didn't add to that contamination." I really hate these people. Stephen Petty, one of the lead experts on a class action lawsuit against Norfolk Southern, exclusively told News Nation the EPA and the railroad company failed to test in the correct areas for dioxins, potentially skewing results. He said officials did not account for wind direction during the burn when determining testing locations. Quote, if they knew that the winds were actually either calmer to the other direction primarily, then they were inverting background and foreground, which would make you conclude no problem here, but maybe more insidiously, it would call into question the entire decision-making process to go forward with the burn in the first place, end quote. Petty, who is bound by a non-disclosure agreement and cannot reveal his test results, said he believes officials may have intentionally avoided testing in areas most likely to show contamination. When asked whether the EPA and Norfolk Southern did everything possible to determine true exposure levels for East Palestine residents, Petty said, quote, no, I don't think so. Residents of East Palestine say that they are still having health issues more than 2 years after the Norfolk train derailment. Officials vented and burned 5 tank cars, releasing the carcinogen vinyl chloride into the air. Early this year, East Palestine and Norfolk Southern announced a $22 million settlement resolving all of the village's claims. The settlement is to be used for priorities the village identifies in connection with the derailment, but it also recognizes about $13.5 million that Norfolk Southern has already paid to the village for upgrades to the water treatment plant and to replace police and fire equipment, among other things, according to the joint announcement on the village's website. I know they built a park. That was nice, building a park that on toxic land. Lovely. Here, we're going to talk about the park. It also reaffirms Norfolk Southern's commitment of $25 million to ongoing improvements to East Palestine City Park. That is in addition to the settlement. The freight train derailment in the village near the Pennsylvania state line included 11 cars transporting hazardous materials. Area residents evacuated, and days later, officials, fearing a possible uncontrolled blast, intentionally released and burned toxic vinyl chloride from 5 rail cars, sending flames and thick smoke into the sky. So that is the update. There has been a whistleblower leak that has revealed that the ERA and Norfolk Southern were likely colluding together to try to get preferential data on how bad it is. And it's just very frustrating to me as somebody, again, I'm in Ohio. I know these towns. I live in a similar town. Mine's probably bigger. But it's just insane to me that this can happen. Not insane. I mean, again, we see it all the time. But the fact that this is something that we just regularly accept as normal, this is the best we can do, is astonishing to me. And frankly, I think that I would like to see the board of Norfolk Southern have to either just buy out the residents, because that's what I think is most frustrating, is that these people, I'm sure they don't want to leave their home in their hometown. Many of them have lived there their entire lives. But if you're facing that type of contamination, and I'm sure that most of them would leave if they could, but who's going to buy their houses? Nobody is going to buy their homes. They're stuck. And I think it would be cool if Norfolk Southern, they'll never do it, but they should offer to buy out and move everybody that's in the area that wants to do it. I don't care what it does to them. It's crazy that they can just come in and destroy a town like that and bounce out with very little accountability. Not surprising. There's never accountability for the rich, but I mean, man. And here's if you guys want to go check it out, the Government Accountability Project is the whistleblower group that got this FOIA request. And they said, after submitting a FOIA, we obtained a letter exposing that EPA's changes to Norfolk Southern's dioxin soil sampling plan in East Palestine, Ohio, concealed the scope of dioxin contamination after the 2023 train derailment and unnecessary open burn of vinyl chloride rail cars. So there you have it. Go check it out. I highly recommend trying to follow along with that story as well. There's, I mean, I think that there's probably going to be a lot of information coming out of there in coming months and years, for sure. We're going to start to see cancer clusters. And there was a guy, Andrew Weldon, too, by the way, I think from I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But I remember reading about him doing some sampling and testing there too. And he was coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff. So
hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.